Wayne. I appreciate the introduction, and it's my honor to join you in welcoming all the great folks from across the world to join our conversation today. Very excited, in part because of my position here as chair of the board for the Soil Health Institute, to welcome you all to our 5th annual conference. We're celebrating our 5-year anniversary to the Soil Health Institute. And I have to say, both personally and professionally, it's a unique place with great people such as Wayne and his leadership team that brings together the best minds in science and in agriculture and in conservation to help identify the gaps in our understanding, but also ultimately to come up with practical solutions for the families, the men and women that make a living from producing us the food, fiber, and fuel we depend upon. Let me provide a little bit of context for me why this is, I think, a pretty seminal and exciting conference. Obviously, the challenges of COVID-19 have necessitated a lot of changes in how we conduct our business, but COVID-19 has also been a clarifying moment for many of us in the agriculture industry. So, of course, it requires us to have virtual engagements like we're doing today, and for us as an institute, this is the first time we've ever done anything at this scale and scope online. But on the other side of that coin, allows for us to engage a broader community of agriculture and conservation and scientific professionals from across the globe. And just the fact we have over 2,000 participants today from over 50 countries, I think is very telling, and to me is an enormously positive result. But beyond this dislocation in the virtual sense, it's created dislocation and disruption, particularly for farmers. And we think about the impacts of this global pandemic and then the ensuing global financial and economic crisis that is flowing across our countries and globally. For us here, at least certainly in the United States, but I suspect globally, it's been a clarifying moment for farmers, but also for consumers. Here in the United States, it's the first time in living memory where when folks have gone into the grocery store to look for food, the most basic staples of flour and sugar are not available on the store shelf. And it has not just been a one moment in time, it's been a continuing dislocation and disruption that I think has, for many families, opened their eyes, I think, to the tenuous nature of our food system, and ultimately has them asking questions about not just the price and value of the food they offer their families, but increasingly about where is their food produced, who grows my food, and ultimately, how is my food produced? So you have, of course, that consumer challenge, but also the economic disruption that the whole agricultural and food production system has experienced globally as a result. And those ripples, economic ripples and ramifications, continue to flow across the globe, but ultimately they're felt very strongly down on the farm. And I know on behalf of many of the farmers that I work for at Land O'Lakes in the United States, it's one of the largest farmer-owned, farmer-led farmer cooperatives in the United States. My job is to advocate for and create solutions for our farmers. And it's been a difficult year on top of what was preceding a difficult year. And the compression they're experiencing on commodity prices, the economic and supply chain disruption ultimately creates a lot of stress for farm families. And so ultimately, it's a challenge on how do we help the farmer and the farm family and the ag food system meet these challenges that this COVID crisis has created. But on top of that, as Wayne has talked about in his opening words, we also then have, of course, the ever-present challenge of a changing climate and the ecological pressure that's creating for those that produce food. And as they address variable weather and the challenges of drought and flood, what does that mean not just for the farm, but then the ensuing economic challenges and disruptions across the whole food and agricultural supply system? So stepping back, big picture, we have these emerging challenges globally, including, we talked about the farmer economic challenges and supply chain disruption, the challenges of more variable weather and the disruption that creates for the farm and the whole food production system. As Wayne also talked about, you have the also complementary challenges in the environment, the pressures on our natural ecosystems, from the quality and function of our soils to ultimately the quality of our air and our water and our natural resources, including wildlife habitat. The expectations from a public and from voters, and ultimately from the global community on how do we address the long-term vitality of our ecosystems. And of course, then as the supply chain changes and sets their own goals on how they source and from where they source, and ultimately ensuring the transparency of the food production system, that's a lot of complexity. And when you bring all of those challenges and complexity all the way back up the stream to the farm, that's more than any one, all of that is more than any one farm certainly can handle on their own. How can we possibly address all these challenges? The good news is we have answers. And we have answers because of institutions like the Soil Health Institute and its broad array of partners in the public sector here in the United States, starting with the U.S. Department of Agriculture, but a lot of research scientists across land grant university researchers and other institutions. But then as we're seeing here globally, we have experts across the planet that have deep understanding and great expertise. Last year in 2019, the National Academy of Sciences here in the United States published a report that reviewed what were viable near-term technologies to be a drawdown strategy for carbon removal from the atmosphere. It was a 511-page report, so I'll cut to the chase and not recite to you the full report. The takeaway for me was photosynthesis works. And one of the most viable, in my view, the only viable near-term economic and scalable solution to be part of a carbon drawdown strategy, according to the National Academy of Sciences, is terrestrial carbon removal through agricultural practices. So there's never been a better time than to bring together the best minds in agriculture, the passion of those who make a living working the land, the expertise of the scientific community and the conservation community, to bring together their expertise to create practical solutions for farmers and ranchers to take to the land and ultimately enhance the function and performance of their soils. I'm very excited for the Soil Health Institute over the next 2 days and the results they're going to be sharing with you. Wayne and his team have launched an unprecedented continental scientific research project that evaluated soil health characteristics and generated data insights from Canada, the United States, and Mexico to create a unique resource that are already now starting to unlock deep insights and ultimately how to bring practical solutions to help farm families be profitable, resilient, and ultimately be part of a global solution to draw down carbon and to ensure a productive and economically successful future. So with that, Wayne, I'll turn it back to you, and I'm really excited for the proceedings this morning.